Welcome to Airborne for Tuesday from AirVenture 2016 at Whitman Regional Airport. Hello, I'm Christopher C. Odom. On our program today, Solar Impulse 2 completes global circumnavigation. Spartan Schools uses the Sunflyer to train pilots and mechanics. The Stemme twin Voyager S-12 debuts at Oshkosh. Those stories and more are coming up on this edition of Airborne. We start our report this morning with something that has very little to do with the EAA AirVenture, but a lot to do with completing a record-setting event that has been more than a year and a half in the making. It has been announced that Bertrand, Piccard, and André Borschberg have completed their circumnavigation of the globe in an aircraft that uses no fossil fuels and leaves no carbon footprint. Upon landing in Abu Dhabi, the Solar Impulse 2 concluded the journey that began on March 9, 2015, which involved a total of 23 days in flight, covering 23,240 nautical miles, comprised of a 17-leg journey. While the adventure of the Solar Impulse 2 is a major aeronautical achievement, the organization behind this record-setting flight reminds us that the mission of the zero-emission electric and solar impulse airplane was to showcase the use of solar energy as a renewable fuel source. Co-founder and also pilot André Borschberg said in part, "Flying around the world is a real challenge. More than a demonstration, it's the confirmation that these technologies are truly dependable and reliable." We at ANN congratulate the entire Solar Impulse 2 organization for the successful completion of their mission. ANN News editor Tom Patton talks with the Spartan School of Aeronautics about the use of the all-electric Sunflyer training airplane that will serve the purpose of training pilots and mechanics.
Peter Harris with Spartan College. You've just signed an agreement with the Sunflyer folks to add some more airplanes to your fleet. I know you've got a big order out there of 25 aircraft. What are you doing with all of those electric airplanes?
We're training more pilots. The world is in high demand for pilots right now, and we're expanding our fleet to be able to meet that demand and train additional pilots.
What's important about the electric airplane in a training scenario?
Well, this is a little bit of a revolution that's happening in aviation training, and we're happy to be on the front of it. When we train students, some of our most significant costs are associated with fuel and maintaining a combustion engine. This alleviates many of the challenges of those issues and allows us to train more efficiently.
One of the things that you have as a goal is to also help train new mechanics to work with this new propulsion system. How important is that going to be down the road?
It's a symbiotic relationship for every aircraft to have both the maintainers and the pilots working together. We're really fortunate at Spartan because we have both training programs for the maintenance of the aircraft as well as the pilots of the aircraft. So it was a natural for us to work on building a maintenance program for the Sunflyer to be able to train technicians in how to approach the Sunflyer and make sure that we maintain it correctly.
It sounds like you're literally going to be writing the book on maintenance of electric airplanes.
I think that's exactly right. We were excited about being the first one in with the first 20 Sunflyers off the assembly line, and we're excited to be the first one to build a training program to help maintainers know how to care for them.
The Stemme twin Voyager S-12 motor glider makes U.S. debut at EAA AirVenture, and we get the details about the upgraded versatile sport aircraft.
The S-12 is really an evolution of the S-10. The company has taken all the recommendations by the owners over the years. Instead of incorporating them into the old aircraft, they've come out with a new aircraft that incorporates all the things that owners have always wanted. So some of the changes are longer wingspan. We've gone from 23 meters to 25 meters. In order to handle the longer wing, we've widened the landing gear stance quite a bit, so it makes it a little easier to handle on the ground. One of the things our owners really wanted us to incorporate was the trim. It's always been a manual trim in the S-10, and we finally gone to an electric trim via a button on the stick. Makes it much easier to trim the airplane both under power and in soaring mode. The glide ratio of the new S-12 is up by about 3 points, so we're now 53-to-1 instead of 50-to-1 with the old S-10. The only way to get very, very high performance in a glider that has a propeller is to hide the propeller when it's in gliding mode. And that's what this airplane does. The propeller completely folds up and goes behind the nose dome. This class of motor glider is called a touring motor glider. So it's designed to operate as an airplane as well as a glider. It cruises at about 120 knots, which gives you 140 knots airspeed true at 10,000 feet. So it's reasonable for traveling. The service ceiling on this airplane is over 32,000 feet. However, the airplane is not instrument certified, so the practical limit is 18,000. I spend most of my time cruising above 12,500 just because it's more comfortable at high altitude. You know, I'm in the airplane a lot, traveling a lot. One of the things that makes traveling really nice in this airplane is there's an autopilot option. So if you're traveling long distances and the range on the airplane is 945 nautical miles, it's nice to have the autopilot where you can just climb to high altitude and sit back and cruise and relax. People can cover large parts of the United States in this airplane in very little time. For instance, I've flown it this summer all the way from Miami, Florida to San Francisco and then back to Oshkosh, demoing along the way. But it's been a very enjoyable summer just watching the United States slide under the canopy. It's really wonderful.
After the break, learn how to win cash for your ADSB upgrade. Lam Aviation introduces new wing technology, and the Able Flight Class 2016 receives their wings.
Based on the popular Sling 2 LSA, the Sling 4 was designed to be the most practical and desirable lightweight four-place experimental aircraft on the market. Find out more about this 115 horsepower turbocharged airplane at airplanefactory.com.
Since the early days of powered flight, pilots have struggled with landing in crosswinds. In fact, crosswinds and wind gusts cause more landing accidents than fog, thunderstorms, and icing combined. That's where the Redbird X-Wind SE comes in. By placing pilots in gusty crosswind conditions for extended periods of time, the X-Wind SE gives instructors all the time they need to teach the pilot the proper techniques for landing in crosswind conditions. For more information on Redbird X-Wind SE and Redbird's entire line of flight training devices, visit www.redbirdflightsimulations.com.
Welcome back to Airborne, coming to you this week from AirVenture 2016 in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. If you've seen something around Oshkosh that's really cool, let us know with the hashtag Osh16Coolest on your social media posts. The Aircraft Electronics Association is giving away $1,000 every day for 5 days at EAA AirVenture for ADSB upgrades. Here's A&N's Tom Patton to give you the details.
Jeff Hill with AEA. It's Oshkosh time again. That means you've got your sweepstakes going on to help people get ADSB equipment in their airplanes. How's it going this year?
It's going great. This is the third year in a row that we've done this promotion. And so aircraft owners can come to our booth during the week, and we're going to be awarding one winner each day, $1,000, that they can use toward their ADSB-Out compliance. 5 winners. Monday through Friday, we'll be announcing it on our social media sites. The good thing is you just have to come by one time, get signed up. Once you're in the bucket, you'll be eligible to win the rest of the week. As long as you have your installation scheduled by August 1st of 2017, if you're one of our lucky winners this week in Oshkosh, you can take our $1,000 and put it on top of the FAA's rebate program of $500 after September and make it a $1,500 off on your install, which is a pretty good deal.
Now, if someone's saying, gee, I wonder which ADSB I should buy, you offer a handy resource to help them make that decision.
We do. You can stop by our booth. We have 2 publications here that are great ADSB resources. The first one is the Pilot's Guide to Avionics, and it comes out once a year. It includes a member directory of all of our avionics repair stations all over the world in 43 countries. So it's a great resource from that standpoint. It also has a lot of educational articles about ADSB, what it is, why you need it, what are the benefits. It's a free publication. Also Avionics News magazine, which of course is published once a month. So stop by our booth. We're in Hangar B, booth number 2035, and you can get your copy of both of those publications and register to win $1,000 at the same time.
A&N News editor Tom Patton talks with Lam Aviation about the wing control system that promises enhanced aircraft control and performance.
Greg Cole with Lam Aviation, kind of an interesting new technology that you have brought to Oshkosh for the first time. What is the product that you're showing here this week?
Lam Aviation is a new company, and we're bringing some new technology to aircraft. Fundamentally, we are changing some of the compromises that are involved in aircraft design. So we have these fundamental goals that we're pursuing with airplane. The wing needs to make lift and wing needs to provide control. We have some new solutions for that allow us to make higher lift coefficients, meaning plane flies slowly, means lower drag. The wing is smaller. We also have some better airfoils and some other things that work together with the high lift devices to accomplish that. Lam Aviation is furthering this with some really exciting new safety enhancements. So embedded in these solutions are terribly exciting ways to improve low-speed characteristics, to improve post-stall behavior, to create anti-spinning behavior.
Special people receive special training through the Able Flight program, and ANN reporter Catherine Creedy is there to cover the Wings Award ceremony for the Able Flight class of 2016.
Today we had our wing spinning ceremony at EAA AirVenture, one of our most emotional and important times of the year where we honor our new pilots.
Being in the air is a great feeling.
To realize how much hard work you put into something and to be rewarded with the outcome that you get is pretty awesome.
You know, we're already starting to look ahead to what we're going to be doing for 2017, 2018. We've been growing our program not just in flight training, but in aviation career scholarships. And that's people who can become dispatchers, light sport repairmen, people who are going to university aviation programs.
But I really have to thank the Able Flight program and our sponsors at the Able Flight program, because if it wasn't for them, I would have never been able to get to Indiana and Purdue University and get my sports pilot's license.
All people with a significant disability who might have thought that they wouldn't have a career in aviation, but through our program and through the partners we work with on the educational side, the training side, yes, that is possible. So that's one of the things we're most excited about over the coming years.
After the break, Jim Campbell and Jack Pelton talk politics about aviation.
Waco Classic Aircraft carries on the proud tradition of the open cockpit biplane, exhilarating to fly, beautiful to behold. With its classic graceful design, the Waco YMF 5D is custom built for each owner. Learn more at www.wacoaircraft.com.
Are you stall smart? Ever since Orville and Wilbur took to the skies, pilots have been taught that the more airspeed you have, the better off you are. But over the last 100 plus years, we've learned that's not always the case. Take stalls, for example. The common belief is that if you have sufficient airspeed, the aircraft won't stall. The fact is, an airfoil always stalls at the same critical angle of attack in relation to the relative airflow, regardless of airspeed, configuration, or weight. Learn more at aspenavionics.com.
Welcome back to Airborne Unlimited on Aero-TV, coming to you this week from AirVenture 2016 in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. It's the second day of EAA AirVenture 2016, and here's part two of the interview between ANN CEO and Editor-in-Chief Jim Campbell and EAA President Jack Pelton. In this conversation, Jim talks politics, and you'll hear Pelton tell it like it is in regards to the third-class medical reform and a more simplified aircraft certification system. Jack says, we are not there yet, but we have opened the door.
Let's talk some politics. We've had kind of an interesting year in that a lot of programs appeared to be coming together. And while the third-class medical issue has finally seen some sense of completion, it's been whittled away at pretty aggressively along the way. What did we win here, and how much farther do we have to go?
Great question. And I think you characterized it appropriately. We went out asking for essentially a driver's license. If you have a driver's license, that should qualify you to fly operations that would require third-class medical. And we have been at this for well over 10 years trying to battle this through on various fronts. First, trying to get the FAA to do something on their own. The FAA made a stab at it and never got anything out into the public for comment. It died at the Department of Transportation. We went the legislative route, was actively involved, our advocacy group and myself personally, in the negotiations and trying to push something through with the help of Senator Inhofe and Congressman Graves and Congressman Rokita. And I was really, really kind of dumbfounded at the political backlash of not wanting to support any activity in aviation that didn't have a medical exam involved. And that negotiation was vicious. We ended up with what essentially is you have to have had a third-class medical at some point in time, either as a student pilot or within the last 10 years. And then from that period on, under certain categories of airplanes, you can manage your health through your physician. That said, I'm trying to look at it in the most positive way that we actually did get something done, which is so hard in our community with the legislative folks. I'll call it the door has now been opened, and now it's how do we continue to push this issue with facts and data, which we did the first time, saying that from a safety standpoint, there's nothing that shows there's medical incapacitation issues with third-class medical pilots flying with that. One of the things we need to improve right away is there's certification required by your personal physician is kind of the terms that they have in there, and we don't think that is going to be acceptable to the medical community. That a lot of private physicians they're not going to certify me being fit to fly because they don't even know what
liability landmine.
It does. So we're going to have to, as the FAA is working the what the actual regulation will look like, we'll have to work on that. And then there's let's keep our coalition going. Let's keep the statistics clean. Let's make sure we as a community monitor ourselves and not create a problem by not taking care of ourselves physically, and keep working the issue.
How soon does the next step and the fight for it start, or has it?
It hasn't started yet. We're going to use this week to celebrate that we got at least something done. EA gets it done is our tagline for this one. Reauthorization of the FAA is September of 2017, when the next new bill and activity, and I think we'll be looking at, is that the time to start getting involved in that legislation. We know we can't get anything from the FAA. Mm-hmm. They are just not on their own going to do anything. It's going to have to be mandated by Congress.
The Part 23 rewrite, where do we stand, and is at this stage of the game, is it even worth pushing it when, in fact, maybe the ultimate aim is getting the FAA out of basic GA certification, the ultimate ambition?
I am a huge proponent of let's go to an ASTM standard and let's take what we did with the light sport regulatory environment and move that forward, and at some point get the FAA out of it altogether. The NTSB is really against it. Chairman Hart, who will be here, I think that's one of the questions we have to ask him, because he's already challenged even some of the Part 23 rewrite activity. As far as your original question is Part 23 rewrite, when are we going to see something? It didn't make it into the funding extension that took place the president just signed. So we're still waiting. And
as I understand, it wasn't even close.
Wasn't even close.
What about a nudge in an upward direction in regards to the allowable grosses for LSA? There'd be a number of older designs that would therefore be grandfathered in, and it'd be wonderful that the 150 could become the next big LSA again.
It's time. Yeah. It is time. This is an issue we now immediately need to start pushing. I think people are starting to understand that these smaller airplanes are very safe. They've got good track record. I think something in the 1,600 pound, which would include 172s, 150s, 152s, 120s, 140s, all those Piper products. It's clearly on our agenda. I mean, we're going after this one.
In tomorrow's Airborne, you'll get to hear a conversation that deals with aviation policing its own business practices. Well, that's our program for today. We'll be back tomorrow with a look at the day's events from AirVenture 2016 at Whitman Regional Airport in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. If you're watching us on YouTube, please subscribe, and don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Twitter. Get comprehensive, real-time, 24/7 coverage of the latest aviation and aerospace stories anytime at aero-news.net. I'm Christopher C. Odom. Keep flying. We'll see you Wednesday.